Hey everybody, Michelle Noel here. I am an independent licensed life insurance agent, and I just wanted to take a few minutes and first introduce myself, and second, I'm going to jump into a kind of a case study and talk about, basically on an educational level demographic. And this particular demographic is going to be age 80 and above, and just try to educate because I know sometimes we procrastinate, and before you know it, it's like, oh my gosh, now we're scrambling. I see it all the time, and people are just not expecting what the answers are. So anyway, with that being said, I hope you find this information that I'm going to go over with you educational. I'm going to have this on my YouTube channel, so you can find me on there. And I'd look to, launch more videos on, doing case studies just to help educate. I had fun doing some today for a gentleman who is in his late 60s, and then we added some grandchildren policies in there, and it was mind-blowing. I'm excited for what grandpa's gonna set up for his grandkids. So that was fun, super affordable. Oh my gosh, just incredible. Right down to, he could do it as little as like $400 a year, or he could do, really maximize it and do $1,200 or more. This was a 7-year-old all the way down to a 4-month-old. So just some fun stuff. Anyway, all right, so let me just jump in. Okay, so everything I'm going to go over, I think I need to obviously say what is pretty much a relatively known fact, but none of this is a guarantee for being insured. I am going over this only for educational purposes, but just to kind of help heighten and educate, right? Increase the awareness. And if it's something that you're thinking about doing as far as life insurance, which I hope you are, so you can protect not only your family, but yourself. So there's a lot of products out there, and I've got some blogs, that you can go check out. So, certainly check out my website, which is legacyliving.info. And you can find me there as well as my contact information. And if you scroll further down, you can put in a quote request and you can connect with me that way. So, all right, so let me share my screen. Okay. So I kind of walked through it. I understand I'm kind of just throwing it all out there as far as information, and that's all well and good. But I took basically from the concept of male gender. I will tell you that females, their pricing is less expensive. So that's something you want to keep in mind. I went with an age of 83, kind of figured that would be good in the middle of the road. And really what ended up happening was I had a client, prospective client, I should say, reach out to me a couple of days ago, and he was for $30,000 to $50,000, and he wanted it in the price range of $300 to $400. So that's what precipitated me to say, you know what, I think that I want to educate and share this information out there. So what I found was that as far as on a term, that the ability to protect somebody past the age 80 mark is literally pretty much zilch. I'm not going to say it's an absolute zero, but I just was not able to get anything showing any type of coverage. Most will actually cut off at age 70 and age 75. And then if anything, it's age 80 is the cap, right? So, the risk is just too much. So just, kind of put that in perspective. Now, for whole life, that's basically you're getting guaranteed, you're getting a much smaller amount, but you don't have to worry about the premium going up. And yes, these are much higher than probably what you would have expected. But again, everything is based on, your age. And obviously, the older you are, the more expensive it's going to get. And some carriers, if your window, like if you're age 83 today, but let's say your date of birth, you're going to have a birthday within the next 6 months, they're actually going to rate you at age 84. So whatever you are, some carriers will actually go within the 6-month period. If you're within that bracket, and you're over half to get to your next, age birthday, they're going to price you at that potentially. Not all, but most will do that, especially on the whole life situation. Now, these particular carriers do not, the ones that I quoted here, and I'm saying quoted, but I'm giving as an example because, I'm putting healthy as an asterisk because there are some things that would actually still qualify for this type of rating. And then there's some things that won't. So this is why it's really important that you do talk to a licensed life insurance agent, and you get, go through the exercise of even doing a request for coverage, because, as much as we all want to think about it, the carriers have to think about it too, because they have to determine risk. But I do get people, approved. So it's not all like, we're putting something on paper and then it's not going to happen. That's incorrect. So typically when I'm going through an exercise, when I do put your own individual quote together for you, it's pretty close to that, but that's what we're looking at. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and explain the whole life situation. So whole life is a guaranteed issued product, and you're basically going to get that coverage that's listed as far as policy amount. So what you're seeing, they're listed with the one carrier. So this is only 2 carrier samplings. I want to just communicate that because I took the best that I had that was based on a healthy, and healthy being somewhat, a little bit high blood pressure, nothing crazy, maybe taking some thyroid medication, it just depends. And underwriter, has to go through a risk assessment. All right. So healthy, with an asterisk next to it. So we're looking at 25,000, and the monthly, is going to be 425. That does include accidental. So that means that if there was a passing away due to an accident, whatever that accident situation is, and it's deemed as an accident, that policy amount would actually double to 50,000. Okay. And there on line, go down the line, the 20,000 equal 40,000 if it was accidental. So the monthly premium in this does include the accidental coverage, and on a monthly payment, it's worth it, especially if something did happen. It was accidental. Now, the next carrier where it says smokers get non-smoker rates. Well, this would be also non-smoker rate, right? This you might get away with some little bit more health issues, even if you're not a smoker, even if you're a smoker or not a smoker. This is truly a non-smoker rate. In this particular carrier, there are some things that I was surprised I was able to get approved as considered, as our top tier pricing for this particular product. So it's a guaranteed issue as well. And it also doubles, and there's no add-ons or anything. This is actually what the rate is. They all include the accidental coverage in there. And I will also state that they also have living benefits attached. And living benefits is if you have a heart attack or stroke, you could, potentially not cash in. You could potentially put in an accelerated request for getting access to your policy. To the amount that you would get, I don't know, but usually what ends up happening is that, let's say you have a heart attack or a stroke or cancer, you can put in a request to see what that would look like as far as accelerating your benefits. The carrier always comes back with an offer based on the medical diagnoses that have happened and what they've retrieved from the medical, the doctors and the practitioners. So then from that, then they will put together an offer, and then you have an option to either decide if you want to go ahead and do that or just go ahead and let it stay as a death benefit. All right, so now you see what the whole life is, and it's just, even at age 85, I just want to kind of put some context here. These policies will not be available after age 85. Like if someone's 86, I cannot get coverage with these 2 carriers. So just want to be able to communicate that. So the clock is ticking, and it's really important that if it's something that you're really thinking about, you really want to do this sooner than later. And if you're healthy, this is the most ideal situation here. If you are not healthy, don't let that hinder you to check out, see what is available. But it's important, and regardless of your age, right? So the younger folks, even with cancer or leukemia, things like that, I still have coverage. So available. So just kind of an FYI to that. And that's a whole nother video that I'll record for educational purposes. So, he had wanted an IUL, an Indexed Universal Life. And just to kind of explain what an Indexed Universal Life is, that's kind of an in-between a term product and, but more like you're building cash values, because term, you don't get to build anything in that. I do have some return of premium for term, by the way, for the younger folks that might be, interested in it, or you have any folks that that are younger that might be wanting to get mortgage protected and they can get all their money back. And it is a term product, by the way. But so the Indexed Universal Life, so this is really just not, it's not really a viable option. And you can already see the pricing on it is really expensive. The one carrier that I found, they'll go up to age 85, and at his age at 83, it was a $50,000 minimum is what I did it, trying to go the minimal amount that I could with this particular carrier that even offered it. And you can see the premium was $714. So that is that. Now, how an IUL does work is where you're actually building cash value. You have some credit indexing strategies. You're getting the opportunity of the market, but you're not actually in the market and taking any risk with regards to that. So, but yeah, so that's kind of some brief explanation of Indexed Universal Life. And of course, there is options where you can do a combination between Indexed Universal Life and some term, and do a combination whole life and some term to kind of close the gap of coverage. But this is an option in this situation because term is not available, because majority of the carriers are all cutting off at age 80 as an absolute, and definitely majority is at age 70 and some at 75. So I wanted to kind of go over a couple of things here with this smokers get non-smokers rate. So I have a little asterisk with a 2 right next to it because I had a couple of asterisks down here. But I wanted to explain that this is a rate for non-smokers. If you are a smoker and you are truly wanting to quit, and you're really focused and intentional about that, I would recommend that this is an option, because it's definitely a great incentive. You don't have to wait to quit smoking first and then try to get qualified. This is a rate that's available to you today, potentially, right, if you qualify. But you basically get this rate for 3 years. So let's say it takes you a year, 2 years to kick the habit, and by year 3, you're well on your way, and you've not had any cigarettes or nicotine or anything like that, or tobacco products, right? So what ends up happening is the carriers are going to verify that you are nicotine free, tobacco free, and that is through some testing that they have done. So they actually send out a lab request, and that gets accomplished. And then as long as there's nothing showing up that there was any tobacco usage, then you would actually get to keep that rate. So that qualifier would have to have been done before year 4 starts. And you have to show you've been tobacco free for at least 1 year. So you would not want to you'd want to actually kick the habit, I would say, by the end of year 2. And then that way, year 3, you're going to be completely tobacco free. I'm just trying to help set you up for success so you understand how this works. If you don't meet that criteria, what ends up happening is that premium does go up, and I'll run those numbers if it's something that you're interested in. I'll always run the numbers for my clients, right? The dollar amount, but you're just being re-rated now. And so it's just, you get the benefit of having a non-smoker rate. Let's just keep it that way, right? That's really more the focus. So carriers, they do have their underwriting guidelines. So when I put an asterisk over here by healthy, like I said, blood pressure, minimal things of that nature, you'd be surprised what I've been able to get approved with this particular carrier and including this one here as well. So don't let healthy, deter you from checking out to see what I can do for you. Okay. So carriers do have underwriting guidelines, and typically, it can take 2 to 3 days before we get a response from, from the carrier if you're approved or not. So, like I said, if you're thinking about it, so does the carrier, because they have to do their due diligence and do a risk assessment to make sure that everything is on the up and up on their end. And these are standard ratings. There's other ratings. It could be modified. It could be a couple of different situations. So there's typically coverage available for most situations. Okay. And I'm saying that with the caveat of the fact that age is definitely important, because I can't create what's not there. But anyway, rates are always based on risk, and risk is determined by health. You are your youngest and your healthiest today. You're typically just one diagnosis away from not being qualifiable for a traditional, policy. And depending on age, I do have, like I said, access to one particular product that I can typically get coverage for anybody on. So lifestyle, so that means like smoker, non-smoker, could be on risk, right? And again, some of these carriers are already putting that into their pricing. So again, don't let that be a deterrent for you. Let's say speeding tickets or things of that nature. So they take it all in, and then they determine what they can work with. In closing, I just want to say thank you for your time. I hopefully you found the information beneficial and educational. If you want to reach out to me, my website is legacyliving.info. Feel free to go through there. You can learn about what's whole life, what's the difference between term life and index universal life, annuities, all of those things. That's what I have access to. You can even scroll farther down, and then there's a quote request in there, or you can just reach out to me directly. So whichever you prefer. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and stay safe, and God bless. Take care.